This is Instagram. And you've probably had this app on your phone for years. You scroll it, you post a little bit, maybe you've even tried to grow a following or start your own business with it. Here's the crazy thing about Instagram. 3 billion people use this app every single day. In America alone, 170 to 180 million people open it before they even get out of bed. So here's the question I asked myself a couple years back. If all of these people are already here on Instagram, why am I not using it to start putting money in my pocket? Why isn't this little square on my phone working like a cash machine instead of a time suck? And that's when I figured out a unique process. A specific way to turn this app into a cash producing asset that not only gets me in front of a massive amount of people that helps me grow my community on autopilot, but something that funds my family, my business, and my ability to help hundreds, if not thousands of people build their own digital businesses around the world. Hi, my name is John McKay. I'm a man of God, an award-winning entrepreneur, a husband, and a dad to 4 beautiful girls. I've been a part of masterminds like Russell Brunson's. I've spoken on stages. I've built my Instagram account from 0 to over 46,000 followers and growing on a daily basis. And I've grown a school community with over 7,300 people in just 6 months. But why is this relevant to you? Well, there's a high likelihood that if you're here watching this video, you're probably here for one of 3 reasons. Number 1, you've been referred by someone that has worked with me in the past. Or maybe they know of me and you're trying to figure out whether or not I'm the right person that can help you. Number 2, you've seen the content that I've created that has generated millions of views online, thousands of views on a daily basis, and something resonated with you enough for you to want to take action. Or maybe you're a member of my school community and you've just naturally ascended into this process. Or the third and last reason, you and I have already touched base. We've already decided to schedule a time to discuss whether or not I can help you. And all I've done is redirected you back to this video so that you can have a clear understanding of the exact process that I take all of my clients through. Whatever the reason is that brought you here today, my goal is very simple. Number 1, if you've already scheduled the time to talk to me, my goal for this presentation is just to show you exactly how the process works so that you feel confident and excited before you hop on a call with me. And number 2, if you haven't scheduled a call yet, my job is to show you a presentation that demonstrates precisely why you should book one in. Does that sound good? Here's what you're going to get out of this presentation with me today. You're going to learn how Instagram can be more than just a doom scrolling app, how it can be an asset. It can be a growing audience for you every single day. It can build authority around your name. It can pull people into a community where relationships can start turning into income. And that's one of the things that I really want to demonstrate to you. It's how community and how attention can become a massive asset for you and your brand. And it doesn't matter if it's a personal brand or a business brand, especially moving into 2025, 2026, and beyond. So why do I say that? Well, it's because of how humans have evolved. It's because of how social media has evolved. And it's also because our interests have all evolved. And another thing is the rising popularity in tech like AI. Let me tell you a quick story. When I got started, the real reason I decided to create this entire process was because I was bored. I know it's crazy to believe, but the fact of the matter is I'm the type of person who's an overworker, an overachiever, and I love to challenge myself. And a lot of my clients are very similar. A lot of my clients, they come from a sports background. They come from an academic background, and they usually have just a touch of overachiever in them. And real quick, look, I've already helped build a 7-figure business with my father. We own a group purchasing organization in the manufacturing space. So when I started this a few years ago, money wasn't my motivation at all. In fact, without this, I would have been just fine. And I don't say this to impress you. I say this to impress upon you that a lot of people who are teaching this stuff are teaching it because that's how they fund their lives. They teach it because they need to make money from you in order for them to live their life. I'm sharing all of this to demonstrate that this information is coming from a person that doesn't need your money. And frankly, I don't need this. But the reason why I became so good at it is because I fell in love with the game. I fell in love with the art of it all. I obsessed. Have you ever obsessed over something before? Well, the reason I do this is because I became obsessed with it. I didn't want to do this like everyone else, though. I wanted to be my own voice. I wanted to build my own brand. So let me actually paint a picture for you real quick. Let's say you want to utilize your Instagram towards growing an audience. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? You might be thinking like, I need to become an influencer, or I need to write scripts. I need to be great on camera, or so on and so forth. Now, I don't know about you, but I was never born to be like Brad Pitt. I was never born to be like a Ryan Reynolds. I was never born to sit down in front of a phone and read off of a script. And like most people, when I start reading off of a script, I start to sound really, really awkward. Have you ever felt that way before? But I knew that there was a way that I could do this my own way, and I could still grow an audience, and I could still build a community. And what I found is a very simple model that ended up raking in views. And I'm talking about millions of views. Now, a lot of people don't really understand how views and how audience growth, how advertising works. So let me just give you a quick masterclass and a brief introduction on how impressions actually work. When you take a social media platform like Instagram, the goal of Instagram is to provide a great user experience. Every social media platform is battling for attention. So what do they want? Well, they incentivize those who are able to hold the user's attention and keep them on the platform. The people who are able to crack that code end up getting served more impressions to their content. And this is what allows them to gain more attention to their account, to grow their followers, to build their reputation on the platform, so on and so forth. Now, there's two ways that you can acquire an impression. Number one is organically, and that's free. What that basically means is you do a free post, like a post, a reel, or a carousel, and the algorithm decides that yours is interesting enough for it to serve it to more people, to serve more impressions on your behalf. That's what you call an organic impression. The second is through paid means. This means that a company or an entrepreneur is basically funding the ability to have the platform force that impression on to other users. If you've ever been in the advertising world, you've probably heard the one fear factor that's been going around, especially lately, and it's the concept of rising CPMs. Now, you don't need to be an advertising guru, but to actually understand this, I'm just going to break it down for you. So a CPM is basically the cost per 1,000 impressions. How much does it cost to force your content to be in front of 1,000 people? Now, you've heard the rising cost of CPMs, but maybe you've also heard the overall rise in ad costs. And here's the reason why. Social media has actually gone further away from being a social media platform, and it's evolving into more of interest-based media. We now live in a world where creators are getting really good at content and they're funding their lives. And so now there's more competition in the market, which makes impressions even more expensive when you're paying for them. So what does this mean for you, and why is it so important for me to tell you all of this? Well, according to my 90-day analytics over the last 90 days, my content's been viewed 4,215,740 times. That's crazy, right? 4 million people have viewed my stuff. And this is a system, by the way. But what about the new accounts that this has actually reached? According to that same data, 2,166,075 new accounts have seen my content. Isn't that crazy? Over 2 million people, and people who have never seen me before, are being fed my content on a daily basis. Here's why this is so important to understand. Remember, I'm not a superstar, and there's a high likelihood that you're not a superstar either. There's a high likelihood that neither of us were born to create content, but this is where the mastery happens. Remember when I was talking about the advertisers before? How advertisers get charged to serve an impression? Now, in my industry, which is in some way, shape, or form the make money online industry, I know some people who pay $20 to $50 per CPM, and some people are paying anywhere from $50 to $100 for that same CPM. Now, if an advertiser didn't have the same content system that I have, if they were to try and service the same amount of impressions that I have served over the last 90 days organically, they would pay anywhere from $84,000 to $210,000. And that's only if their CPM is between $20 and $50. Those who pay more of a premium would be anywhere from $210,000 to $420,000 to get that same audience organically. Isn't that insane? So I don't know about you, but I'm the type of person that wanted to create a following, build a community, change the world, and help transform lives without me having to go bankrupt in order for me to do it. And that's the reason why you're here today, because there must be an easier way. Have you ever felt that way before? Like, there must be an easier way. Do I really need to trade all of my free time in order for me to get the same results in the online space? Do I need to spend all that money on CPMs? The whole reason that people start this is because they want more time and money to begin with. And I want to share that I found the answer. So with that, I'm super excited to break it down for you now. Before we dive in, I need you to make a commitment. Can you do that? All right, repeat after me. The goal is to understand who I am here to serve. To get in front of those people that I can serve, to draw them into my world so that I can serve them better. And to provide them offers to transform their lives so I can serve them at a higher level. Awesome. And when you understand these basic core fundamental principles, you'll actually see that the mastery of the system that I'm going to present to you is going to help you build the business that you want. Does that make sense? With that being said, I'm going to show you the exact system that I take each and every single client through. Every single person that has worked with me and that ever will work with me has gone through this exact same sequence. And basically, this is going to get you to a point where you don't need to pay tens of thousands of dollars to serve impressions. You can grow a following without selling your soul to the script writers and the camera people, all of that. And you can still live a life where you can take care of your children. You can be with your wife or your husband. And you can live the life that's funded from the lives of the people that you are helping transform. Does that sound good? Awesome. I'm excited. I'm going to take you through each step, And I want to break down the logical, irrefutable process that if you install it into your business, if you install it into your social media strategy, it can help you produce or duplicate the same results that I've acquired. Does that sound good? Let's get to it. All right, so the very first thing that we want to do is go into step one, which is clarity. Whenever a new entrepreneur or business comes to me, the ultimate question is, what's the goal, right? Like, what's the ultimate goal? But we also need to know who it is that is best served by you. Now, I don't know about you, but Jesus Christ is the foundation of everything that I do. I stand very strong on those values. And I truly believe that we are called to serve others by God and that we're blessed with knowledge, skills, and creativity that can enable us to go out and transform and help deliver transformation to other people. Because if we don't do that, we're ignoring our calling by God. So the very first thing I want to do is find out who it is that you're called to serve. After that, the second thing is we need to understand basic market principles. Now, what I mean by this is that a lot of people could have a misconception that they want to follow their passions, and that's beautiful and all that. But remember, business servitude and transformation is never solely about you. It's about the people that we are transforming. So my belief is that we need to understand these three things. We need to understand which market or which specific desires we can serve. We need to discover who it is that we are serving and transforming. And then we need to create a message that can attract those people into our world. Now, these sound super basic, but there's a certain process that you need to take someone through for them to really find those answers. And a lot of people who struggle to grow content, a lot of people who struggle to grow on social media and with building a community, they really just struggle with answering those basic questions. Am I right? Like, what segment of the market am I actually made for? Who am I going to help serve and transform? And what do I say in order for me to gain their attention and bring them into my world? Does that make sense? Cool. After someone goes through clarity, the next step is authority. And this is where people usually stop me and say, John, just show me the system. And I will. But first, you need to understand this piece. Authority is your purpose. It's your presence. Authority is your message, and it's the message that people feel the second that you say it. When Steve Jobs spoke, the world paid attention. When Martin Luther King spoke, people leaned forward because they wanted to hear what he had to say. That's authority. And authority is built from three things: presence, authority, and brand. I personally believe that all three of these words are really misunderstood. For example, most people think that presence is just about being in a room, but presence goes way deeper than that. Presence is an energy that you carry into every room, every conversation, every piece of content that you put out. And I know that you've felt it before from someone else. You've been around people who just shift the atmosphere by walking in. They don't even need to say a word. There's something about them that just pulls you in. Again, think about Steve Jobs. Think about Martin Luther King. That's presence. And so what creates that presence? It's conviction. The reason people line up to work with me is because they feel alignment with who I am. I'm a husband. I'm a father to 4 beautiful daughters. I'm a man of faith. I believe in health, fitness, personal growth, and community. These are all part of the way that I live. And because I live that way, people feel it when I show up. My presence reflects my convictions. Now, here's the simple part. Presence grows when you put yourself in an environment that gives you permission to be that person fully. And the right environment fuels your presence. So that's presence. Once you understand presence, you then need to understand authority. People often say, I need to become more of an authority figure. And the truth is, authority is not something that you go out and get. Believe it or not, it's something you already have. So let me explain what that means. A person who tries to become more authoritative in some way, shape, or form is creating this connotation in their brain that they need to be something in order to have something. And this is the biggest problem that people have. Because they believe that they need to be something, subconsciously, they're actually telling themselves that they're not something. And therefore, this act is what creates imposter syndrome that a lot of people struggle with. Have you ever felt that way before? The fact of the matter is, authority is broken down into two things. One, you know something that other people don't. And two, you can do something that other people can't. And so when you understand what authority really is, you understand that your job is not to be the most authoritative person in the world because you already have a level of authority in the market that you're superior in. There are people who don't know what you know, and there are people who can't do what you can do. But the real key is to accept yourself. And I know that that can sound kind of woo-woo, but for the people that actually heard me say that and it resonated with them, they'll know precisely what I mean. And if you can accept yourself and stand in your beliefs, you'll not only appear online as an authority figure, but you'll step into that presence that we talked about before. You're going to believe that you're worthy of it. That is authority. And then the third, which is actually the most important, but I don't think you can create it without the other two, is brand. And all brand really is it's broken down into two things. Number one, it's association. And number two, it's reputation. And that's the reason why we need to do all of the prior steps, because we need to know what market we're serving. We need to know precisely who it is that we're serving. We need to know exactly how to talk to the people that we're serving. We need to come in with a high level of presence that we emit. We need to come in authoritative. And we need to choose what we wish to associate with. And then we need to build our reputation around that. And so, like I said before, a lot of people, when they come into this, they always just want to know. They say, give me the system, give me the system. But let me ask you something. Would you hand your 6-year-old a chainsaw? Exactly. And so we need to prepare you to become the person that can understand the system so that you can deliver the system. And yes, the system works, but it doesn't mean that you can work it. And so a lot of people want to come to me and they instantly want that outcome. But you and I both know that there's a certain series of development that is required in order for you to be able to execute this at the highest level. And the people that are willing to do that are the ones who are going to win. I'll repeat that out loud, and I want you to repeat it back to me. Are you ready? The people who are willing to prioritize their development and take the time to understand are the ones who will win. That moves us on to the third step. And the third step is the meat and potatoes. This is the thing that everybody loves. It's the content system. You know, one of the things that I've uniquely done that a lot of people don't do is I've built my entire brand on 6-second content. 6-second content. It's called micro growth content. Now, yes, there are different variations that you can go down the road of, but I truly believe in order to really speed run this entire game, we can leverage certain strategies to really propel ourselves within the algorithm to build our authority and grow our account. And then it's what we do on the back end that really matters, understanding the system. So the very first step when it comes down to content itself is actually the system. Think about it this way. Isn't it strange that a lot of us, many people, drive cars every single day, and yet if you asked a person how a car works, they wouldn't be able to answer that question? It's interesting, right? We drive something every day, yet only a small amount of people know how it even functions and works. Now let's compare two people. One person knows exactly how a car works. The other person doesn't. Now, who do you think and who do you believe will successfully utilize, who will successfully preserve, and better maintain that car so it lasts longer? The person who understands cars through and through, right? Doesn't that make sense? And that's why content is so easy. The reason why content is easy is because you become the person who knows everything about the car. You know how the system works. And you elevate yourself and get an advantage because you're competing against people who don't even know how to drive. Does that make sense? So once I really break down exactly how the system works, it comes down to 3 factors. Number 1 is consistency. Once you know the system that works, you work the system and you work it for a long time. One of the main things that they say about Albert Einstein, he said, the 8th wonder of the world is compound interest. So what is compound interest? Compound interest is something that is done consistently over a long period of time. It's funny, the people who want instant gratification are actually the people that fail the most, and they almost always fail to find it. Isn't that funny? They want something, yet their want for it is actually putting them in a position to never obtain it. And so once you understand how the system works, your job is to work the system just like compound interest. Say that out loud with me. Compound interest. Number 2 is connection. Once you start that compounding growth with your content, it's going to naturally create a flywheel of connection. For example, out of the 4 million views that I've acquired, not everybody has resonated with it, but some of them did. And the people that did resonate with it are the people that we're called to serve. What my mentor would actually say is that the sheep would come when the shepherd calls. And so we're utilizing this strategy and we're doing it with consistency because there are going to be some people out there that will receive your calling, and it's your job to answer that call. And that's what leads you to connection. And there are specific ways that you can make these connections that are so impactful. Make sense? Then the last is audience building. And this is the real asset. This is one of the biggest misconceptions that people have when they come into my world. When they try to understand social media, they get so confused about what building an audience looks like. When they try to understand making money online, they're like, I have a huge audience and I'm not making any money. When they just try to understand making money in general, they don't understand that the flashy thing is not where the bank is. What I always say is front-end money is going to make you rich, but back-end capital is what will make you wealthy. And so we're really going to break down exactly how to draw these people that we're called to serve, that we've made consistent connection with, and we're going to start building our audience. That moves us into step 4, which is attention. Now, I just told you that audience is the most important thing. And that's all good, but how do we turn audience into attention? And how do we turn attention into an asset? It's actually really basic. So essentially, there's two types of audiences. There are rented audiences and there are owned audiences. Say that out loud. Rented audience and owned audience. Rented audience basically means that we're partnering with certain platforms that have a list of people that already come on and use those platforms. So think like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, think LinkedIn, think Facebook. These platforms already have us in front of their users. Another example is the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl has built an insane brand, a huge audience, millions of viewers, and they sell ads in the millions of dollars to companies to show their commercials, but that's a rented audience. So what we do as entrepreneurs is that we rent our ability to broadcast messages and our content on these social media platforms. Does that make sense? But if it's owned by them in some way, shape, or form, we're attached to them, and therefore we're held within their limitations. And marketing on a rented audience is a slippery slope because in the social media world, your account could disappear without notice. The platform could take your account right down, or you could be hacked. And so the goal is, yes, we want to understand how the rules work. Yes, we want to get in front of new people. Yes, we want to leverage the tools, but the real switch is being able to take people from where you're renting that audience into something that you own. Now, you've probably heard a lot of digital marketers talk about how the money is in the email list, right? And the way I like to think about it is that we really need to do the following. We need to grow our audience, we need to grow our subscribers, and we need to build an email list, but we also need to grow a community. And that's the thing that really helped differentiate me from other people who are constantly struggling to make money online. You know, this system has helped me add 7,300 and more members to my school community. I could easily add more right now just by going into my school group and approving more members. Or I could post another piece of content and get a few more hundred leads and then add more to them. And the reason why is because people are consistently coming in each day, and I have the system in order to publish the content and have the established community where I can build that trust. And now I own that audience. So here's what you need to understand when it comes to community. There's a reason why I believe that community is the greatest asset that you could ever produce, especially in today's day and age. And it's because of AI. Now, there's a lot of people that are using AI on a regular basis, and they're saying that AI is going to take over everything. AI is going to steal our jobs, right? It's going to take our jobs. People are using AI more than ever for content, for emails. People are even using AI for legal agreements. But the fact of the matter is, there's only two things that AI will never replace. It'll never replace human connection, and it will never replace community. And so if AI can't replace those things, that basically means that connection and community are now the two greatest assets on earth at this very moment in time. And so we need to build connection through our content. We also need to establish and grow our community. And once we own that community, it gives us the opportunity to build relationships so we can continue to serve the people inside it time and time again. I talked a lot about service, and you're going to find out what service really is inside of a community when we get into sales and when we start talking about money. You're going to find out how to serve those people. And what you're going to understand is that building a community is not going to make you money. Money is a byproduct of you becoming a good steward. And I want you to say that out loud. Money is a byproduct of you becoming a great steward. The job is to get in front of people that we couldn't have gotten in front of if it wasn't for the social media platforms. The job is to connect with them using our presence, our authority, and our brand. The job is to pull them from a rented platform into an owned platform that we own. And then our job is to continue to grow, continue to transform, to lead them inside of our community, and to step into the blessing that we were born to serve. That leads us into number 5, which is offer. So, John, this is great. I've got clarity. I know I'm now an authority. I've got this system that generates attention, and I know how to build an audience. That's all well and good, John, but how the heck do I make money? And the answer is, we first need to change your relationship with sales. A lot of people don't understand that no matter how much information that you acquire in this online game, it's never going to matter if you don't even want to do the thing that makes you money. And so why do we think like this? Why do we have this? It's because of ethics, morals, and values. Right now, if I went and asked 1,000 people, hey, what's your relationship with sales? Majority of them, maybe even yourself included, would probably have negative associations with sales. Am I right? But why is that? Let me break it down for you this way. Let's say I've got a person who wants to lose weight. Let's say that I've got 2 people, and one is a clone of the other. They're exactly the same, a duplicate of themselves. So same height, same age, same genetics, and they both wanted to lose weight. Most people understand in health and wellness, they understand the concept of caloric deficit and protein intake, so on and so forth. So what I do is I write out a nutrition plan and guarantees them if they follow this, they will lose weight. I also write them out an exercise plan that if they do it, they will guarantee to lose weight. And then what I do is I take those plans and I put them into a copy machine and I make 2 copies of them. Then I fold these copies up and I put them into 2 separate envelopes. On one envelope, I write it for $100. On the other envelope, I write it for $10,000, and both of them buy it. Who's going to respect the process more? The person that pays $100 or the person that pays $10,000? Exactly. Now, if they respected it more, wouldn't they prioritize it more? And if they prioritize it more, what's the more likelihood that they're going to do it? And if they did it, would they get the result? And that's why you need to understand that money is never about you. Your offers, they're never about you. Your offers are about 2 things: perceived value and the commitment of the purchaser. I'll give you another example. So imagine for a second that you bought a Louis Vuitton bag, right? You bought a really expensive Louis Vuitton bag, and your 3-year-old, she comes in, she's got like a snotty nose, and she comes in, and you've got these 2 bags. You've got your $10,000 Louis Vuitton bag, and you've got your $50 tote bag. And your 3-year-old comes in and goes, Mommy, I want a bag to play with. Can I have a bag? Which bag are you going to give her? You're going to give her the tote bag instead of the Louis Vuitton bag, right? But why wouldn't you give her the Louis Vuitton bag? The reason is because you value it more. But when you look at the cost of the material that was actually used to create those bags, it's probably equal. And that's the secret. How do we create something that is perceived to be valuable by the market, but it also gives them a certain level of commitment and makes them respect the process? Because people aren't buying you, they're buying an outcome. You're not buying John, even though you like John. You're not buying John. You're buying the process. You're buying the outcome, right? You're buying the fact that if you do it this way, you'll get this. You're buying the fact that if you do it this way, you'll have a community. You're buying the fact that if you do it this way, you'll actually be able to monetize that community. So you're not buying me. Make sense? When we understand what the sales mindset really is, everything shifts. And here's where I take it a little bit deeper. Most people never connect sales to their faith, but I do. Because I believe the ability to sell is tied directly to the blessings that we've been given by God. Every one of us has gifts. We have skills that God created us with. And when we don't rise to the occasion, when we hold back and refuse to step into that calling, it's actually being disobedient and disrespectful to the Lord himself. That's why one of the first things I do with my clients is I give them permission to sell, permission to understand that selling, it's not manipulation or greed, as long as it's done ethically and you actually deliver an outcome. Because selling is part of a transformation. When you sell, you open the door for someone else to step into change that they're after. And when you love people enough to lead them through that, that's a really powerful realization. To sell is to love, and to love is to sell. Make sense? Once we get all that figured out, then we go on to the next step, which is the pre-sale process. And what the pre-sale process pretty much means is, look, I don't know about you, but I don't want to beg people to work with me. Do you? So what we do is we create a process that comes down from our content. And this is based on how they land in our community. And it's also based on the first video that they see. If you've actually come from my Instagram or you've come through the school community, if you've gone through my process and you have a good association to me, congratulations. You've gone through my pre-sales process. The goal is to build systems to do the work for us. Say that out loud. The goal is to build systems that do the work for us. So if we can do that, we then need to go to the next step, which is conversion, which is pretty much how do we take the money? How do we process it? That's pretty much it. So our goal is not to convince people to give us money. The goal is to create systems that make people want to give us money, and then we just need to create a way to take it. That's it. And then once we do that, we need to go through a delivery system, because remember, there's going to be a lot of different offers. There's going to be high-level offers. There's going to be low-ticket offers. We just need to find a way that once we actually do take someone's money, we want to ensure that we can deliver those offers to them in a way that makes them happy. So 2 things to consider when we deliver. We're all in the same business. Say that out loud. We are all in the same business. Number 1, to provide an amazing experience. Number 2, to provide leadership. So no matter what the offer is, as long as we lead them to their desired outcome that we promise, and as long as we provide them a great experience, we have a happy customer. Let me ask you this. When you watch a Disney movie and the credits start to roll, you know that's not the end. life keeps going. In the story, it just keeps unfolding. And it's the same with business. You build the system. You've got the content machine. It's running. The audience is growing and your community is alive. But that's not the end. That's just the beginning of the next chapter. Now we build it so that it has a life. And here's why this matters to me. I've got 4 daughters. I've got a wife I love. And I enjoy working, but I don't build businesses just so that I can work. I actually build them so that I can live. And that's the same thing that I want for my clients. I don't want you here building something that restricts your life. I want you building something that allows you to do whatever you want. And that's what the scale step, number 6, is all about. And scale is broken down into 3 parts. Number 1 is streamline. Once the system is running, the first step that we need to do is streamline it. So what does that mean? It means we make it smoother, faster, and more efficient. So I want you to picture a pipe for a second. And when you turn on the faucet, the water, it starts like spitting out and sputtering. And so that tells you that something's blocking the flow. The water's kind of there, the system's there, but something is slowing down the flow of that water. Streamlining is how we clean out the pipe. It's how we remove those blockages. It's what lets the water run freely. And when you do that in your business, everything is easier. Clients move faster. Your content starts to reach more and more people. Your sales start coming through smoother. That's streamlining. After that, we go into operations. And this is where entrepreneurship, solopreneurship, it becomes a real business. So take my group purchasing organization company for an example. We run at scale. We generate profit year over year. We employ people, and those people have families, and those families are supported because of the work that we do. And those paychecks, they trickle down into communities, into schools. That's what growth really means. And it's not selfish. Remember, this isn't just about you. Growth is virtuous. It funds families. It supports communities. And when you reach a certain level, you just can't be in the weeds anymore. You're too valuable to spend your time on those small tasks. So we build operations. We systemize. We let the business handle what the entrepreneur, the solopreneur, what they shouldn't. That's operations. And the last piece is expand. And this is where you lift your head and you look at where you're going. How do we expand our calling? How do we expand our service? How do we expand the impact that we've been entrusted with? Expansion is really just multiplying what's already working. More reach, more influence, more people served, more lives changed. And when you step into expansion, you're truly stewarding the mission that you are on. That is scale. And that completes the 6-step system. Now, let me ask you this. Hypothetically, not just you, anyone. If anyone were to follow these 6 steps the way I've laid them out, is there any possible way that they don't achieve the outcome? The answer is no. That's why I've won awards. That's why I've grown the way I've grown. That's why companies and entrepreneurs pay tens of thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands of dollars to try and buy the same level of output that I produce every day. And I'm showing you this system freely. And that's why you're here. That's why you're watching this video right now. So let's go back through the entire system together. First, clarity. You know what the market wants. You know the desires that you can now fulfill. You know the exact person you're called to serve, and you know how to talk to them in a way that pulls them into your world. Second is authority. You've built the presence. You've stood in your authority. And you've shaped a brand that people connect with, that they associate with the values, the ideas, and the outcomes that you represent. Third, the content system. You understand how it works, and you're consistently running it. You're posting in a way that naturally connects with the people that you are called to serve. You're building your audience every day without chasing it and without going crazy and feeling overwhelmed. Fourth is attention. You learned how to take rented audiences and turn them into owned audiences and build a community you can lead. Fifth is offer. You've eliminated the mental barriers around selling. You've created a pre-sales process that naturally positions people. And you have a conversion process that makes it easy to say yes. And you also have a delivery system that not only gets the result, but gives them the experience that they talk about to other people. Number 6 is scale. You've streamlined, you've built your operations, you've expanded your call. When you put those 6 steps together, the outcome is inevitable. But let me remind you, like I talked about the Disney movie, when it ends, the story doesn't stop. Life continues. Now it's the same for you. You've built the system, you've got the content machine running, your audience is growing, and your community, it's engaged, it's alive. So what do we do next? We build it so that you can have a life. Because like I said before, I've got 4 children. I've got a wife that I love deeply. And yes, I do enjoy building, but I don't do this just to work. I do this so I can be present and enjoy every single moment with them for as long as I'm here. And I want the same for you. I don't want your business to make you feel like you're trapped. I want your business to free you. I want it to amplify your life, not restrict it. So with that, I leave you with this. If you need to, rewatch this process. Go back through until it makes sense. This system is here for you to see clearly, laid out in front of you. And if you've already scheduled a call with me, I can't wait to talk. I can't wait to connect and see how this can all apply directly to you. I can't wait to be the catalyst that helps you step fully into what you were created to do, to serve, to help, to lead. And if you haven't booked a call yet, now's the time. Click the link below. It'll take you to a page where you can pick a time that works best for you. And I think it's important that I make this clear. This is not a sales call. I don't need your money, and I don't work with everyone. In fact, I have requirements for who I allow into this process. That's why I call this an audition call. It's an opportunity for me to get a sense of who you are. And if I feel alignment, if I believe that I'm the person who can truly lead you to your desired outcome, then we'll schedule in another call. So leave your credit card at home. All I want you to do is bring yourself. Click the button below, choose a time, and let's connect. And if you've already booked, I look forward to our conversation. Also look forward to seeing what you're going to build, and can't wait to see, how you grow your audience, you develop your content, you grow your community, and you build your business. See you soon.